So, welcome back to Sometimes Love Isn't Enough. And I'm so excited that for this summer, I'm doing a summer guest series. And so, Mital is my very first guest during this summer series. So, I'm so excited to invite you to share your wisdom with my audience. Mital, I would love for you to share, what led you here to the story that you're living today.
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you so much, Angie, for having me. I love to connect with other moms and kind of also show other moms and dads that guess what? You're not alone. And, we all know everybody says like love is enough, but actually we know sometimes love is not enough. And so I appreciate you, for creating this space and the summer series and making me the first guest.
Yeah, for sure.
So what led me actually a couple of things. So first it was my own story, right? I saw growing up, I saw my mom kind of giving up, not being stay-at-home mom. She couldn't go out because she had, of course, the little ones to take care of. And I saw my dad not living his career choices because he wanted to explore other world and he wanted to go to, different countries, but he couldn't because he had little ones at home. And so, me growing up seeing that, I knew I wasn't ready to give up on my dreams. I didn't want to give up connection with my kids. I didn't want to give up my career aspirations and, things that I wanted to do. And I wanted to be independent and kind of have it all. And so I tried to do it all. And of course, I burned out very easily. And
Yeah.
okay, so this is not it. So then what is it? So that's how I kind of got into systems. And also, another thing was that my husband suffered from substance abuse for 10 years. So I kind of ended up living in that survival mode. Of course, I didn't want to leave him. I knew it wasn't his choice that he ended up on the wrong path. Again, suppressed emotions in childhood, disconnected childhood, kind of made him make the choices that he made to, and from numbing his emotions. And so I knew it wasn't his fault, so I wasn't ready to give up on him either. And so just living into the survival mode and also knowing that I don't want to sacrifice the survival and the not sacrificing kind of led me to systems. And then I said, okay, it's working. When I kind of started creating this small little systems like morning rhythm, evening rhythm, kind of weekend prep, and all these little systems, that brain dump system, and it was working for me. And I kind of felt more, that I was able to create more time with my kids, having the one-on-one with my kids, doing more dates with my kids, and also not give up on my career. So I said, okay, this is working. How about I share with other parents? So that's how I kind of got into, and then I started doing the certification school for coaching and did my own podcast. So here I am. Now I'm sharing the story of, the survival to system. And at the same time, I'm here to show the other parents that we don't have to do it perfectly and we're fine. And you're not alone. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I love that story and how you didn't let the roadblocks really veer you off track either, um, despite the burnout, despite the struggles that your husband was going through. Can you tell us a little bit more about, you had mentioned a few times systems, and I would love to hear more about that.
hmm Yeah. So when I say systems, because a lot of time, actually, the author James Clear in his Atomic Habits, he talks really beautifully. He says we don't fail at the level of our goals; we fail at the level of our systems. And I'll tell you how did I like how I started. There is a technique called Pomodoro. That's how I kind of got into it. I was like, oh wow, this works. And that was a system because it helped me. It's like a 25-minute, you put a timer on and you focus on that one task. So while, working full time, I do have a full-time job, of course. So, I serve as a senior manager of quality assurance. As a scientist, I serve a little bit. And now I manage and lead the quality team. And so that's where I started system at work, automating, delegating, eliminating, outsourcing. So then I said, why can't I use these things at home? So then
Mm,
I started with something called Pomodoro technique, which was putting a timer for 25 minutes and focusing on one task, whether that's writing an email, whether that's, just creating my schedule for a week, or it was just like, because I used to also have my own podcast. I did that, my podcast for 2 years. So I used to write my episodes in those, in that 25 minutes. So I would set the timer for 25 minutes, take a 5-minute break, and then start the timer back again. And in between, if I'm doing something, if I am kind of distracted or something, I'll have like a sticky notepad next to me. So I'll write my thoughts in there and put it on the side. So instead of me entertaining the thought, I was focused on the task that I had it on hand. And I kind of fell in love with that particular system. I did take that at work and it worked out really well. So then I said, okay, what other systems from work that I kind of create, what can I bring it at home? And I kind of did scheduling and automations, and it was beautiful. And then we also worked out like a weekend system or reset system with my kids. So something that I used to do, because my little one is a manifester. I know you are into human design, and my older one is a generator. So him being my little one being manifester, fire, always, just challenging you back, and loud and just getting angry because he has his own plans. And if I have my own plan, I'm a projector mom. So if I have my own plan and he has his own plan, so we used to clash a lot. So I got this weekend reset system. It was something like we would sit together 15 minutes and we would say, and I would fold their clothes for my little one specifically, 5 pairs of clothes I'll prepare, and I'll ask him, what do you want to wear for Monday? What do you want to wear for Tuesday? That way I can kind of get away with the morning tantrums of what to wear, and this doesn't fit, that doesn't fit. And I bought this, it's like a hanger system. It's like there's like a label Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I guess a slot thing. And I would just put whatever he chooses for Monday, I will put that on Monday and Tuesday. And just that little thing, when we started that as a ritual every Sunday, there was so much peace in the mornings. And I thought, like, oh my gosh, I have so much time in my hand, just from that mental load that I was able to put it away. And now, like, on the weekends, I would feel like, oh yeah, I'm ready for the weekend, on the for the weekdays. And then we started doing meal plans. So I wouldn't like meal plans in the sense I wouldn't like prepare anything, no meal prep, but meal plans like, okay, Monday breakfast, lunch, dinner, snack, what are we eating? Me and my kids, we would sit together. My husband's okay with what we plan, and so us three would sit together and we would plan everything. So these are the little systems I'm talking about, because they really helped with sanity and less tantrums in the mornings and every day on a school days and working days. So that's what I mean by systems.
yeah. Well, and what I heard what I heard coming out too is that you were taking what you do at work, applying it to business, and then expanding that to family and realizing that, when we have rituals or routines or structure with our kids too, it helps everybody feel better because when mom's feeling chaotic, so are the kids.
Yes, yes. It's the energy, right? Like how
Mhm.
you and I probably know most with us kind of practicing human design. It's the energy that I give them. They kind of like, we kind of transmit that energy. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I also love how you sprinkled in a little bit about really understanding your kids' human design and how it puts you in a place to parent them so uniquely based on what they need. Because I'm sure I don't have any manifestors in my life,
Mm,
but I have a couple of projectors and generators, manifesting generators, and the dynamic, the difference between being a generator mom and parenting projector kids is fascinating about what they need, which is so different than what I need.
Yes. I I want to say I got into human design in 2018. Um, and my older one, I have a 7-year difference between both my boys. I have my older one's turning 15 in about 10 days, and my little one just turned 8. And with my older one, whatever worked for him wasn't working for my little one. And I said, there's got to be, like, it's like me learning the whole parenting all over and starting everything from scratch just wasn't making sense to me. I was like, why would it not work if it works with my first child? Like, my first one is without iPad, he wouldn't ask for anything, he wouldn't push, like, I wouldn't say he wouldn't push back. He was pushing back, but we used to do negotiation and it was working out really good. I tried so many different things with my little one, it wouldn't work. Then I was like, you know what? Let me look into their human design as well. And so when I found out, it was so fascinating because my older one's generator and my little one said, he's a manifester. So with my older one, I always had to ask him question yes or no kind of a thing, and then give him
Mhm.
space to kind of like elaborate whatever feels good to him. But when I tried those things with my little one, he would get so mad. He would push it back so hard, but I didn't realize that yes or no doesn't work for him. I had to give him open-ended. And when I would try open-ended with my older one, it wouldn't work for him because he wouldn't know and he would get more frustrated. And so when
Mhm.
I learned about their designs and the communicating with them in their own kind of like in their own way, life felt so easy. It felt so like of course I felt the ease, and the connection between like us was like really really good. Now my generator and manifester have such a like it's just hard bond for them. My husband's a generator, and so it's kind of like hard for them to connect because the other one is all go go go, so energetic, and the manifester is like he wants to lead his way, and the other one has like, oh, I feel good this way, so I want to do it. So of course they have their own thing, and I'm still working to figure that bond out. But I think I have learned as a projector mom, how can I work with my kids separately, like, but my husband being generator doesn't work what I do with them, and there are so many times where I forget that I'm a projector and he's not a projector, because I can guide them. And when I try to do that with my husband, and when my husband does it, it doesn't work. And we're like, oh my gosh, this is so frustrating. So we have those days, right? Like the frustration. I wouldn't say that it's a very picture perfect in our house, but it's like we're unfolding these new way of communicating and connecting with each other, and it's beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, and I'm finding too that understanding profile is like, I think oftentimes, in a lot of traditional human design training, it's all about type, like learn your type, understand your type. And I agree, like that, that question asking is a game changer.
Oh,
Both my kids are projectors, and asking them yes, no questions, it doesn't end well.
right,
But for my granddaughters who are a generator, manifesting generator, like I get magic from them if I ask them a yes, no question, which goes against the grain of what I learned in, I'm a speech therapist by trade. And, I learned when kids are little, offer them choices. Well, choices for a
right,
generator is like too much.
much.
It
Yeah,
seems it seems like it would be so simple, but I say to my 3-year-old granddaughter, "Do you want chocolate or vanilla?" And she says, "Yes." I'm like, "Well,
right,
yes to which one?"
right,
It's
right.
and she's bright, she knows what she wants, but the question itself trips her up.
Yes.
Um, so after that like understanding type, I'm finding so much gold in really digging into profile too, in that it's so much about how our kids learn and how we interact with each other. It's just that part to me is so fascinating. I don't think at least in what I see out in the human design world. I don't think profile gets enough credit for how amazing it is.
I totally agree. And on that, right, I do want to piggyback on that, that I totally agree on it, because the one thing that I really focused on, of course, I wasn't, it's not like I learned this officially, but it kind of made sense to me and I could see through it. And so that I kind of unfolded for us in that way. I did take a little bit of courses here and there, but something that I learned was arrows. How, like, pretty much my older one and my husband are, they both have like similar arrows, like the way they digest things, the informations, the way, what works for them. Is it the consistency, is this the structure? And what works for me and my little one is kind of similar. Like, we both need structure. We cannot, like, that's why I always say at work, like, or my husband and my sister, we were just trying, because I just had a hysterectomy, and so I have to kind of work from home, and it's not working for me because I need structure. I need to get out of
Mhm.
the house. I need to go there and kind of like, the space has energy, and so
Yeah.
I need to kind of separate out. And I feel like there's so much information and learning in those arrows hidden. And if we
Yeah.
learn that portion, to just, we don't have to go so much deeper. And like, that's why we have, coaches like, you
Mm.
yourself, like, who can kind of, I did do a lot of coaching I had a human design coach for 2 years, and I
Yeah.
learned about business and everything with her. Like, and that's how I learned about our profiles. And I feel like that has a lot of information, even the environment. Like,
Mhm.
I'm a mountain, and I didn't realize when I was on the ground floor, it made such a difference. Then now that I'm on a second story, like, I have my office, I shifted from my main floor to the second floor, and it's like I can be more creative now. Just
Yeah.
because I have a higher level, just a little. It's not like I'm on a mountain, even though my environment is mountain, but it makes a big difference. The
Yeah.
environment that you create after that. So yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, it's all so interesting. And I love the way that you're describing it too, because it isn't about like telling you what to do. It's about helping you see where you felt misaligned before and knowing why, right? Because you're like, I don't understand why when I was on the ground floor, it wasn't working. We don't know these things about ourselves. We think we don't come with an instruction manual, but we actually kind of do when you look up your human design, right? I love all of this. I would love to hear, when we started talking, you were saying that you really help moms with burnout. And I'd love to hear, how you have such a wealth of knowledge about systems and human design and probably so much more. I'd love to hear how do you help moms to move past that burnout?
I honestly love that question, because there were so many years where I thought I have no gifts, right? And it's after learning about myself and, just self awareness and doing this all kinds of work and reading about you and like kind of reflecting, I learned that I can see things so clearly for others. And so when somebody's like, if when I'm having conversations and or one-on-one calls or coaching calls with my mom clients, when they're talking, it's like I can hear them so loud and clear. And one of the things that I love doing it, I do reflective listening. So whatever they say, I kind of repeat it and say, so this is what I'm hearing. And then I'll ask them questions, because I feel like I'm really good at asking questions and getting the things out of them. Because as a coach, right, I feel like out in the world, like right now, just on the internet, everybody, like you went through schooling, you studied yourself, right? But a lot of people just say, yeah, I'm a coach from the experience. Doesn't work that way, I feel like, because I guess as a coach, we don't give solutions. We ask them questions because we know that all of us, every human being, we're resourceful. We all know what needs to be done. It's just that we're misaligned a little bit and we need to come back to our true nature and our alignment. And I think that's where I come in. And of course, I never say that I'm original, but it's, I'm a medium that the higher power universe kind of, chose me to work with other moms and dads. And I can really see that what's going on for the other mom, right? Because a lot of time we think that we're tired, we're overwhelmed because we're doing too much. But I honestly, after having so many conversations and having these coaching calls with moms, I this is one thing that I've learned really, really deeply, that it's not that we're overwhelmed or tired because we're doing too much. I think it's because we're doing too much alone. We're doing too much of the things that we're not so happy, or that doesn't bring joy to us. And it's also that we're doing it without support in the system. We're not asking for the help, right? Because it's like society never taught us to ask for help. That's another condition that we kind of get in the world, that when you ask for help, it's like we feel like we're weak. And I think that's where us moms needs to kind of spread our wings and invest in professional help, or even ask friends, right? Just like, hey, I'm going through this. Or maybe sometimes we just need a listening ear. And I feel like, as a coach, I also provide that space, that I'm here to kind of be your accountability partner, be your guide, and at the same time, kind of your listening partner. Because a lot of time, what we find is when we're talking to somebody, everybody jumps in to give us advice, but maybe mom is not looking for an advice. Maybe
Yeah.
she just needs somebody to hear her out. Maybe she's trying to hear herself out.
Yeah.
And I think that's where I kind of show up with, deep empathy, and I kind of help people, I see them deeply, and I ask questions that kind of shifts them from chaos to clarity. So that's where I come in.
Yeah. Yeah. That Oh, I love all of that. And it was making me think about back to human design is when I learned, right? So I have two projector kids, and when I learned that oftentimes a projector's decision-making strategy is to talk things out and
Mhm.
that they don't need advice. And my mom brain was like, "What?" Like, oh, that's why my daughter is talking all the time. And
Mhm.
she needs to talk it out. And that, man, the way that I shifted the way I respond to her so that I could mirror back to her, or even ask her that question, are you looking for advice or do you just need to talk it out, has been a game changer. And I just I love so much that you pull human design and understand your clients, and also that you see so much that your role isn't to tell people what to do, because I think oftentimes people go into coaching thinking I need a coach to tell me what to do, and
Exactly.
sometimes that friction I feel as a coach too, where they're like, okay, so my child is, acting out, or we got a call from school, or, my child just got suspended. What do I do? And I say, well, what ideas do you have? And they're like, but I need you to tell me, that sometimes that friction that I feel in that engagement initially, where they're like, please just tell me. And I agree with you. It's not our job to tell them what to do. They already know. They just have been conditioned. They're a little bit out of alignment. They're operating out of fear, so many
Mhm.
things. So yeah. Oh, I love all of that. Hmm. Any anything else that you want to share with my audience? Anything else that you've been thinking about? Maybe a client experience you wanted to share?
Yeah, I actually, a couple of my mom clients that I'm currently working on, and it's just that I always have those conversations with them, that a lot of time we think that we maybe, of course we need professional help. We invest, but then we don't follow through. And it's because life is happening outside, and so we put ourselves at the end. And so I feel like, something that us mom needs to hear more is, how about we prioritize ourselves first, and then kind of touch base on everything. Like my sister was visiting this week actually because I had a surgery, so she was visiting me for a week, and she has a 2.5-year-old daughter, and she every day she would try to feed the daughter first, and she would get hangry herself because she hasn't fed herself yet. But then my niece is taking so long to eat, and I'm like, what if we do the other way around? And of course, I wasn't trying to give her advice, but something's like, maybe you can fill your cup first and then kind of, so I feel like it would be so good for us moms to kind of think about ourselves first, because when we try to, we all know the internet gives us this whole analogy of, when you're filling somebody else's cup from an empty cup. Yes, it sounds so good, and it's like motivational, inspirational, but it doesn't stick with us. Like we need something practical. So maybe how about we eat before we feed our kids? Maybe shift put your schedule. I don't know, change it up, like where your lunchtime is prior to their lunchtime. Like me and my husband do that. If my manifestor kid, if my little one doesn't want to eat, we invite everybody on the table, and if he says he wants to play right now, we leave him alone, let him play. Okay, he will eat after we all eat. At least we will have our peaceful dinners, and then we call him and we invite him for his meals, right? And so I feel like that would be a perfect parenting hack if I want a kid, because guess what, our kids don't need a picture perfect parent. Our kids need us to be present and fulfilled ourselves too, right? And so maybe taking care of our nervous system. Let me just say, not even ourselves. I think taking care of our nervous system first is important. So maybe putting, because I have a science background, so I have to bring my science language somewhere here. So it's just that we need to work on our nervous system. We need to work on our self-regulation. So it would be great to kind of have these micro shifts at a time for us. Like maybe yes, and that could be different. That because for me it's like meals. Like I have to eat first, or it could be for some moms could be like, okay, asking ourselves first thing in the morning, what does aligned success look like for me today? Or what is it that I like? Maybe it's like a family flow evening I want to focus on, whatever, right? It's different for all of us, I guess. It unfolds because we're all different and we all have different things that matters to us in this specific season, and just also reminding ourselves that I am a human being. I'm not a tree that's so rooted that I cannot move. I can pivot. If this one morning routine or evening routine or routine or rhythm or anything that doesn't work with my kid or me, okay, I'll change it up. A big deal, right? So I think just these little reminders are just so important. So if you're a mom and listening to us, please kind of, work on regulating your nervous system before you attend your kid, so that you kind of don't need to work on repair it at the end.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that, and I would love do you have, in previous episodes, I've shared some suggestions to regulate the nervous system, maybe not so explicitly though, and I love that you use those words. Do you
Mhm.
have a go-to strategy or a handful of things that you would recommend
Oh my
to moms listening to regulate their nervous system?
Yeah, so something that I learned was it's called need-based self-care, right? Again, the internet throws the self-care word like a confetti, but something to remind three things that I do mainly for me. One is, because I commute, like I have an hour commute to my work. And so when I come back, I sit in the car by myself for 5 minutes.
Mm.
Sometimes it's just listening to the musics and it's so loud that my kids can hear in the house. That's okay. Or sometimes it's just, me sitting by myself and not doing anything. And sometimes it's just me crying out, and it is all okay. And I would come home. There are times when I come home, my eyes are red, and my kids will be like, "Did you cry?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I just had like something. It was just it felt so heavy, and I had to cry." So for me, it's a coping mechanism, crying out, and it just kind of calms me down. Um, that's the one thing that I do, like, something to do in the car by myself. And then I have a ritual with my kids. I call it 20-second hug. That thing is so magical. So when I come home from work, it's like a reset button for all of us. We would hug each other. And for 20 seconds, we would literally count. And so I taught my kids. My little one was, I think it was a year and a half when I started this, and we just hug each other for 20 seconds. And of course, I'm the last one to kind of let them go, but I taught them to count to 20. And so
Yeah.
they would count to 20, and that itself would really bring you into the present moment. And then the third thing is, if it's too much, then just put music and dance it out, or lay down and roll on the floor or something like that. So we don't need, like, a 30-minute spa booking, or we don't need to go do manicure pedicure. If that works for you, please, do so. I know that it doesn't work for me. I've tried it. It don't work for me. And so I do these micro little habits, and they work really well for me. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and I love how practical they are. I'm a 2-5, and I make sure in every episode I share something practical. So I love that you brought some practical with you today.
I'm a 4-6, so I have to share something that's that's something I've tried and tested.
Yeah, yeah. Oh. Oh man, I love this so much. Anything else that you want to make sure you share with my audience before we wrap up today?
Um, just that, put stop stop worrying about everything and everybody, right? It's just like, if I am not well, this is something that, I'm learning right now as I rebuild myself, that I can drop any of the balls. I shouldn't be dropping the ball of my health, right? And so I'm really focused on my health, on myself, so that, if I am not filling my own cup and I'm not doing something that brings me joy or fulfillment, I won't be able to give that to my kids. So just those 2 cents, and then they can actually, of course, find me, on my more on my Instagram, because I'm working on launching a group coaching for moms. So, hey, let's balance without burnout, right? Let's set the goals without guilt. And so I'm working on something very special. So I would love for them to kind of follow me, tag along at Rise with Mital, and I would love to support the moms without the burnout.
Yeah. Oh, I love that so much. And we'll make sure that we have your Instagram in the show notes so that people can follow you and yeah, and learn from you as well. So thank you so much for hanging out on my podcast. Thanks for being my very first guest for this
I
guest
really love
series.
it. Thank you. It's your energy, and of course, we kind of had so much in common. And so I appreciate the conversation and the space that you created. And even if one mom can benefit from our conversation, right? That's what our hope is.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And to listeners, thanks for listening. We'll chat soon.